What's up, Tecumseh? You know what a gorgeous example is of everything that's awesome? You are. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Tecumseh Bicentennial Podcast. I'll be your host, Benjamin J Nichols, but you can call me Ben. Today's introduction is going to be a little bit longer than those in later episodes because we're just getting to know each other. I want to help you know what to expect. Now, a lot of you have been asking, what is this podcast thing that you're doing? And that's a good question. So this podcast is an exploration or a celebration, if you will, of the people of Tecumseh, past, present, and future. Through humor, through music, through homegrown stories and interviews with Tecumseh and Tecumseh-adjacent human beings. Each episode will be different and feature different local personalities and businesses. The whole point is to celebrate the humanity of Tecumseh. In today's episode, we will chat with sisters Ella Dineen and Silvia Frey of the Matthews House Shop. We'll also play Two Truths and a Lie, which you will be able to engage with on the main show page at sdgcreative.net/MatthewsHouse. We're going to meet soft-boiled detective Preston Plotfodder, inspired on some level by Guy Noir from Prairie Home Companion. We're going to introduce a special segment called T-Town Tales, a collection of short personal stories of Tecumseh told by the people who were there. All of the music in today's episode is original, and our voice actors are Ben Nichols, Emily Nichols, and Clayton Riptide. So, without any further ado, and with absolutely no gilding of the lily, let's move on with the show. What do wooden bookmarks, liver and onions, and a Polish couple who fell in love in Chicago have to do with a little boutique in downtown Tecumseh? That's a good question. Today, we're going to hear from sisters Silvia Frey and Ella Dineen. We'll get the answers to those questions and more. Well, I mean, not all the answers. There is the question of liver and onions, and I'm afraid you're going to have to wait for tomorrow's episode to get the dish on that. Anyway, on with the interview.
So we're a sister duo. I'm Silvia. And I'm Ella. And we are both part owners of the Matthews House Shop, and Silvia owns the building. Our parents are from Poland. Yes. And they met here in the United States. Polish is our first language, so we're fluent.
Because it is important to respect people's boundaries and to not put them on the spot, I, of course, ignored conventional wisdom and immediately asked for one of them to demonstrate. Ella obliged.
Nasza mama mówi po polsku i ojciec też. I oni mieszkały kiedyś w Polsce i się poznały w Chicago.
I can't be sure, but it seems to me like whatever she said might have something to do with Chicago. My guess is Prohibition and Al Capone, because that's most of what I know about Chicago. Except this, fun fact. Chicago is a little bit bigger than Tecumseh, but actually 13 years younger on paper. Let's listen to Ella translate whatever she just said.
Our mom speaks Polish, and our dad does too, and they met here in Chicago.
What do you know? I was right. It did have to do with Chicago. Maybe I speak Polish. While Ella and Silvia's parents met in Chicago, they did not stay there.
We grew up in Northern Illinois. Mm-hmm. My skin has definitely thinned because before Michigan, I was in Georgia for 10 years. So by the time I moved up here, I totally forgot the length of the winter. That first year, I was just like, come on, guys, what's happening?
She was in a marshmallow jacket, like the biggest jacket I've ever seen. With the thickest mittens and the warmest hat. It was like, you grew up in this weather.
I know, people tease me a lot, like, you're from the area, you are a Midwesterner, but 10 years will knock off some of that thick skin.
Earlier, Ella mentioned that the two of them own the Matthews House, located at 127 East Chicago Boulevard here in downtown Tecumseh. But what exactly is the Matthews House? What does it do?
We're both in part a home decor and a local maker space. We provide small furniture and home goods for every part of your home, and we try to source as much of that as we can here out of Lenawee County.
Yeah, every piece has a purpose. It's one of those like you'll hang on to. And our goal and hope is that people come in and are able to find items that they do hang on to or they do give to someone special in their lives.
Describing Matthews House as, in part, a local makerspace piqued my curiosity. So I asked for a few more details about how that came about.
We didn't know that we would be going down this avenue when we opened the shop in October, but really organically, we have grown into a place where local artisans like a ceramicist, a woodworker, a florist, they'll come and look around and they'll say, hey, I think I could do really well here. I think I could provide something for you. So they end up dropping off, let's say, usually 8 to 10 of their own handmade items. And if it goes really well, they'll start to restock. And if not, they also know that they're just a way to send their family here. Hey, I've got artwork on the wall at that shop. Maybe go take a look at it. It makes the makers really proud to have a brick and mortar setting to have their items in. And it's, like I said, it started really organically. It grows really well month after month.
Their ceramicist is Karen Matson of Drowsy Wolf Studio. Their woodworker is Jeremy Sharp of Sharp Woods, and their florist is Sarah Hilton of Strawberry Blue Farm. In fact, the Matthews House boasts 13 local makers in the shop. So here we have a downtown boutique that sells curated home decor and one-of-a-kind artwork from various local creatives. Personally, I would expect a place like that to be called something like Silvia's or Homegrown Elegance. Matthew's House is an interesting pick for a name. Where does it come from? Does Matthew live there? If so, does he know that they're selling his stuff? Ella helps us out with this one.
I moved here with my family 4 years ago from Georgia. My husband got a job out of Ann Arbor. One weekend, we saw homes out of Jackson and Chelsea and Manchester and Adrian and Tecumseh. Every house, my 3 kids had a name for the house. It reminded them of either the road that the house was on, the color, the one with the pond, the one with the red barn. So there was a title for every one of the 6 homes. And when we saw the Matthews House, which is the house on Matthews Highway, all 5 of us, we just collectively kind of knew that was the one. It took us probably close to 6 weeks before we closed. And that whole time, that's what we would refer to this home that we were about to move into, the Matthews House. It's really dreamy. It's 120 years old. There's a pond, there's a barn, there's a big hill to run down, and it was meant to be.
But then even a couple of years after that, you already knew when I open a shop, it will be called the Matthews House.
Yeah, the day we put in an offer, we went to the doghouse. We were sitting outside, and I said to my husband, we should definitely have a shop here. It was almost 4 years to the day between when we closed on our home and when we opened the shop. So it took a little bit of time, a lot of help from Silvia, and then we got there.
So what drives someone to go from casually remarking over hot dogs
we should definitely have a shop here
to running a growing business like the Matthews House in the heart of Tecumseh?
It's always been our passion to decorate and design and sort of dream up our homes. I've always wanted to have a downtown shop from the moment that I sort of laid eyes on downtown Tecumseh. I couldn't make it happen on my own. So then Silvia came in.
And then when my husband and I moved to the area, and we knew this is where we're going to live and have our children be together. And in doing that and knowing that this is going to be a long-term stay, we wanted to have some investments in the area, really dig in roots in the town of Tecumseh. And we didn't really know what to do with, say, this investment opportunity that we had. And then it was in communicating with Ella that we decided to kind of join forces and make both of our dreams happen.
Yeah, she wanted to begin her investing adventure, and I was more than ready to get this place started. We decided late spring, and then we opened October 6th. The inspiration prior to the shop opening was definitely to create something from scratch and grow it and be successful at something. I am a teacher by trade, and then probably more seriously than my profession, I was staying at home with the kids. I was trying to keep one foot in each door the whole time, but I've always had that dream of creating something out of nothing and that being really successful. And I didn't know exactly which avenue it was going to be in. That was what inspired me before we opened our doors, I think.
You know, the sisters seem to me very relaxed and confident in their space. They smile easily, and there is a genuine and endearing warmth between them as they speak frankly about the realities of owning a small boutique in a small town. Even when discussing some of the challenges they face, there is no trace of complaint. Instead, I get a sense of eagerness to overcome and to do it together.
We don't know exactly how to do it all the time. A lot of times we're floating in thin air. Like, what are we doing next? It feels very much like survival mode still, 6 months in, but in a really good way because our minds haven't turned off. No, I would say the most surprising thing when you open your own business is how it rewires your brain to never calm down anymore and never stop running.
Thinking. I tell her, please don't feel like you have to answer me when I send you a message at 10 p.m. But if I don't tell you now, I won't think of it in the morning. And here are my thoughts.
Ella and Silvia have their families, they have each other, they have a shared dream, and they have something else. They both love Tecumseh.
There's something about the town of Tecumseh. I'm not a local. I wasn't born and raised here, but I can sense it. And I think Silvia could too. I mean, she visited one weekend right when we moved here.
Oh, at Blumpkin weekend, just a quiet weekend that the town has.
Yeah, and it makes sense for young families. We want our parents to move out here if they would like to. We'd like our in-laws to be here. We wanted to pull our brother into this direction. It's like, you would love it here. We love our downtown. We love the local shopkeepers of this downtown area, the restaurants.
And the patrons that walk it almost every day. I mean, there's a set of people that are really downtown almost daily.
There's the ones that you always run into the coffee shop, the ones that always wave hello as they walk by. We've got someone who pops in just to look around almost every single day. Yeah. We have just grown to keep wanting to become a staple of downtown Tecumseh. Yeah.
So one of my favorite parts of these interviews is talking for a while and then playing two truths and a lie. Silvia shares 3 facts with us. 2 are true, 1 is not. We get to guess which one is the lie. You'll be able to vote online, and we will reveal the answer in tomorrow's episode.
One of us did an internship in Chicago for an interior design firm. We started pricing our inventory and tagging everything just 12 hours before our ribbon cutting ceremony. A meal of liver and onions jump-started this entire adventure.
So what do you think, Tecumseh? Was it the internship in the city where mom and dad had their meet cute? Was it the inventory price scramble 12 hours before ribbon cutting? Or was it a plate of liver and onions kickstarting this entire project? Vote at sdgcreative.net/MatthewsHouse, and we will listen to our very first T-Town tale. It is titled Depot, and is brought to us by Rhonda Nowak.
My mom and dad owned great ideas. They were looking to expand the building. A gentleman in town owned the property where the depot at the time sat. My mom got wind of that. The depot needed to be moved or it would be destroyed. A piece of history, and my mom being a history buff, that was not going to happen. So she set about with the Historical Society here in town and came up with a plan to move the depot to its current location on the boulevard, and that we would renovate it with the Historical Society and then move our business into the depot. She also bought the building next door to where it was going so that she could be in both buildings. A company out of Archbold, Ohio came up here. Sauter was the man's last name, a relation to Sauter's Village. He came up here and hoisted the depot up on a platform and put wheels underneath it, and we hooked the farm tractor to it and moved it from South Evans up to Chicago Boulevard at the corner of Chicago and Ottawa. It was amazing to see that building move. The big joke of the whole thing was that Mr. Sauter said he could move that building and we could put a glass of water in the building and not a drop of water would spill from that glass. So we took him as a challenge. We took a coffee cup, filled it with water, put it in the building, and moved it and the floor around it was bone dry when we got it in place, set down on its foundation. A man of his word. And it was just fun because the town came out, the kids got out of school to come watch it, Consumers Energy was here, the city was here. Everybody was involved to make that all happen, and it was amazing.
That was Rhonda Nowak sharing with us our first T-Town tale titled Depot. Now we return you to our regularly scheduled program already in progress.
Something that's sort of interesting, we have kind of some random things here in the shop that maybe you wouldn't expect to see. And our highest volume seller, we have bookmarks that are made out of the scrap wood from our woodworker. No two are alike. We have, I would probably say 300 in circulation. That could have been 300 just in the holiday time. I mean, it doesn't even come close. The highest volume item sold is bookmarks. Jeremy Sharp is our woodworker. He was actually the very first local maker that hopped on board with our shop. He is an individual that hates waste. Everything has a purpose. Sawdust ends up going into his garden. Shavings, when he's working through a piece of wood, come to our chicken coop. He will take extra pieces, if they're big enough, and turn a spoon out of them. These were little shavings that he had to get so that his cutting boards were the right size. And he had a laser engraver, and he started creating just funny little signs and sayings and lasering them onto these bookmarks. And he dropped off maybe 20 and they went right away. And then he dropped off another and then they went right away. And we were kind of laughing about it. We were like, why is this one item? Yeah, something that would have otherwise just been either burned or thrown away. Yeah. Ends up being the highest volume of sales in the shop. And people love them because, again, no two are ever alike. He just has such an imagination for what might be funny to somebody or meaningful to another family. So they're a great gift.
So the present is pretty impressive. Where do we go from here? What is the vision that Ella and Silvia have for the future of the Matthews house?
I would love for this to be a place that anyone stops at knowing, like, I can pick up the perfect item for either myself or someone else personally. Like, I just want to be that shop. I know if I have any child that has a birthday coming up, I go to Hopscotch. That's the place you go to for a gift. If you don't know what you want for them, they will help you find something that is age appropriate for this child. And I just want to be that for adults. Hopscotch has been a really great example of what we could do or we could provide to the community. This is perfect. Get something locally and also know that they can help if you don't know what to get somebody. I ended up getting my nephew one time a lava lamp because we were like so stuck and they just, hey, what about something kind of quirky and weird and fun? And that's what they provide to all of their customers. So ideally, that is what we provide to the area of Lenawee County. I say Lenawee because more and more we're noticing people from outside have sort of heard about us or they come to spend the day in Tecumseh. We have so many people walk through that are from Dundee, Monroe, Chelsea, Manchester, Adrian, who know we'll be here for a few hours. We drove in, we're having coffee and then shopping and then lunch and then we'll drive back.
Another favorite question of mine to ask in interviews is, what is your superpower?
If you could bring sunshine and warmth, 300 and I don't need 65. I'll take 360 days of the year. Southeast Michigan, that would be beyond amazing for any store owner. Create more sun. Mine was honestly to just have more hours in the day. You just run out of the time that it takes to create everything or do everything that you have on your to-do list for this shop. More hours in the day would be pretty fun to have.
Not being natives to T-Town probably makes this next question a bit unfair. So, of course, I asked it anyway because I'm not real worried about being fair. What are some fun facts that you know about Tecumseh?
We have a fun one. General Custer's horse, Don Juan, is buried in Tecumseh in the cemetery. And our children told us that the cannons were real, but which we did figure, but that's what they learned when they visited the cemetery, that they were active cannons that were used in battle time. Our kids were letting us know that they've learned a little bit about the Underground Railroad. They were telling us it was underground trains. Yeah, they thought that trains went under the ground. We had to figure out, I don't think it was a train system per se. First we were like, I don't think so, but also let's look that up. And then we explained to them what an underground railroad means. It's less of a literal term. But kids are literal.
Something that's great about the people in our lives is that they all have some kind of hidden talent or interesting facet about them that most of us don't know if we are not a major player in their lives, if we're not super close. Silvia and Ella are more than just the co-owners of the Matthews house.
Because we're native Polish speakers, when we were going through high school, I ended up realizing how fun and then also easy for me it was to learn Spanish. Eventually I was like, I think I could teach this. We both had a semester where we studied abroad, and I went to Chile and I learned Spanish fluently, and now I teach virtually. Also, we keep this shop afloat and we have full-time jobs on the side. You know, the ones that pay our bills right now while we try to make this dream come true are both full-time jobs for us. And it's job, like I love my job. You know, it's not a job. Like, I love what I do for a living. I am an accountant for a small company. But that's what I do here as well, is I do the finance and accounting for the shop. Yeah, we both definitely have our roles here. Yes. Yeah, she is the money. And I'm sorry if I'm the one behind the counter on a weekend and you get me and I'm not the most personable. I love you all the same. I just don't have as much charisma as, you know, my sister does.
Sometimes really useful and really wholesome talents can catch people off guard. Ella has a preternatural ability to remember people.
We had a really fun story. I think the actual weekend we opened, there was a husband and wife that were in, and they bought 2 blankets. They have 2 chairs. One is his, one is hers. They both liked the blankets, so they were like, let's just both get it. They didn't come back for, I kid you not, 5 months. And when they walked through the doors, I remember them immediately. So I was like, how are your blankets doing? And they were almost creeped out. They were. And I was just like, I cannot believe opening weekend, which is a blur. I remember the couple that bought the 2 blankets. Yeah. And that's just what she does. I think connecting with customers like that, nothing makes my heart skip a beat like watching somebody be a repeat customer and remembering, like, it feels so good if you've not only bought something, but you thought to come back to us. That means a lot. For this downtown to continue thriving, it would be amazing. Can you imagine 100 years from now to have a downtown that was founded and started in the 1800s and still be active? I mean, how incredible. It doesn't happen that often.
So much of what I'm building into this podcast and our finale show on July 21st, 2024 at 3 p.m., shameless plug, is an exploration and celebration of the people that make up the life of Tecumseh. Part of what makes Tecumseh great is not just their investment and their love for the community, but also their hopes for the future, a future that we all share.
Try your hardest to source what you need here first. If you can't, that's okay. One town can't have everything you absolutely need at all times. It might cost a little bit more, but those few extra dollars are really meaningful to the shopkeepers. Yeah. You don't have to spend a lot of money in a downtown shop here to make a huge difference for the owners. That's how you keep them thriving. And we do see it a lot. I mean, people came and they came back and they shopped again and again and again. We never, until we closed for Christmas, saw a dip in foot traffic. Once the holidays ramped up, people kept trying to buy their Christmas presents locally. And that was really refreshing, and it meant a lot. And you have to put in an effort to buy your Christmas presents here. You have to go out, you have to find it. You maybe don't find it here. Yeah. And I remember saying to Silvia, this year I will buy everything from Tecumseh for Christmas for everybody. And I think I couldn't find one book from one of my kids, so I had to order it, but it was a huge effort and it worked.
It's a good day for a good day. And on the friendly streets of Tecumseh, one man relentlessly ekes out a meager living as a terrible detective. Preston Plotfodder, Private Eye.
I was having a bad morning and needed a pick-me-up, so I stopped into Musgrove's and Company, the downtown coffee shop. Most days I'm a Starbucks man, but today I had business nearby and stopped at Musgrove's. I'd recently met the owner, Josh, a pleasant man with a coffee is community slogan. I like Josh. He was a good egg. It was gratifying to see customers lining up behind me. The pleasant hum of conversation filled the air, accompanied by the rich aroma of coffee so fine it could only come from a third-generation farm in Costa Rica. As I waited for my turn, I thought about the meeting I'd just left. A wealthy man named Stuart Pitted misunderstood my reputation and tried to hire me to track his wife. She wasn't doing anything wrong. He just wanted me to call if she was on her way home because he had an appointment with a woman, who was not his wife, at another home. I impolitely declined, and he resorted to the use of ugly language, calling me an imbecile Boy Scout, in a cheap suit and describing in detail his opinion of my mother's choices, and how he would correct her if he could. I didn't care for that, even a little, so I poked him in the eye, because that's what a good guy does to bad guys, who insult their mothers. I fully expect to receive notice of my cancellation via social media at any moment. For now, I need to find another client. I suddenly realized the woman across the counter was speaking to me.
Did you hear me, Mr. Plotfodder? I must have those chunky legs.
Excuse me, what are you doing back here?
I heard you. I just don't understand you. Your legs are plenty chunky. I'll have a peppermint mocha, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, we don't have peppermint.
We don't have any peppermint. And don't be rude, Mr. Plotfodder. Not talking about my legs. Talking about the table. I must have that chunky-legged table.
Ma'am, you really can't be back here.
Give me hazelnut instead. And saying you want a chunky-legged table clears up absolutely nothing. You've got to give me more to go on, Ms.
My name is Charlotta. Charlotta Trouble. My friends call me Lotta, though.
You're about to be in a lot of trouble.
Money is no object, Mr. Plotfodder. My boyfriend is extremely wealthy, and he gave me his credit card, and I need that table.
Please, get out from behind the counter.
The name really should have been a warning sign. But what can I say? I'm broke. Plus, I'm a really bad detective. So the odds of me getting more work today after my exchange with Stuart Pitted are slim to none. I decided to take the job. Where did you see this table?
It was in Matthew's house.
So why don't you go and purchase the table? And where's my coffee?
Because someone's already purchased it. It's out for delivery right now. Here's your coffee.
That's not coffee.
This isn't coffee.
Oh, wow. Sir, did you just drink that?
What is this? I like it.
I've no idea. I just poured whatever was in this bucket into the cup.
Oh my gosh.
I don't actually work here.
You seriously need to go to a hospital or see a doctor. It's gray water. And ma'am,
All right.
get out
I'm going.
from behind this counter.
I'm going.
Or I'm going to call the police.
Look at me go.
You cannot be back here.
What is it you actually need from me, Miss Trouble?
I need you to find the chunky-legged table for me.
Sir, here's that cafe mocha with a shot of hazelnut.
Much better. Thank you. How much do I owe you?
Yeah, let's just call it on the house for the inconvenience of you drinking the water that I use to clean surfaces with.
Mr. Plotfodder, will you take the case or not?
Seriously, you should probably see a doctor.
Money is no object, huh?
None whatsoever. Stewie is loaded. I must have those chunky legs.
In that case, how about we match my fee to whatever the current owner asks for the table?
Deal.
I'll take the case. Let me ask around. I happen to know Ella and Silvia at Matthew's house.
And a moment ago, you didn't even know where Matthew's house was.
Didn't I?
See a doctor.
Where do you want the table delivered when I find it? Also, give me your number. I'll text you once I've procured it and you can Venmo me the money. I left a lot of trouble standing there as I made my way out the door with my hazelnut mocha in one hand and a hastily scrawled address in the other. She didn't need to know that I never knew the name of the store that sells all the home decor and local artwork. I just knew Ella and Silvia because I say hello to them on my morning walks. I wasn't going to bother the sisters with this, though. They're far too professional to give out customer information. My CI, on the other hand, his professionalism only goes as fast as I can throw a jelly donut. I headed to Lev's to procure payment and went looking for Hush Hush Harry. Hello, Hush Hush.
Hush, hush, hush. Shh, 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 shh. How's it going, Preston?
Fair enough. I'm looking for furniture. What's the word?
Well, the word on the street is that you can get in big trouble poking people in the eye.
What can I say? That's just how I roll. What about furniture? I've heard there might be a table on the move.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I heard that rumor myself. If only I knew where it was headed. I think I heard, but I can't remember.
Maybe this will help you remember. Hush Hush snatched the Bismarck from my hand with surprising speed for a man of his girth. He quickly scribbled in a notebook, tore out the page, and handed it to me.
It's headed to this address right now.
Hush Hush, you're a man among men. Thank you for this. I headed back to my 1994 Chevy Corsica and opened my Maps app. The address seemed vaguely familiar, but then I got distracted by a new button on the screen that said Local Guide. I considered pressing it. Some other time, perhaps. A couple minutes later, I was pulling up in front of a well-kept home with excellent landscaping. Everything was trimmed, and I couldn't find a single dandelion in the yard. This lawn was immaculate. It was obviously kept by someone I could be friends with. Feeling a bit more optimistic about the impending encounter, I walked to the front porch and was surprised when the door opened, as doors do. And suddenly, I was face to face with...
Plotfodder, what are you doing here?
Mr. Pitted. How's the eye?
It hurts.
Rumor has it a table was recently delivered here. I'm here to buy it.
Yeah, right. Like I'd sell you anything. Get off this porch, Plotfodder.
What if I told you money is no object?
Huh. You'd have to come up with an awful lot of money. Considering that your going rate is charity and disappointment, I don't see you coming up with an amount that I would find attractive.
I have a backer. She wants that table, and is willing to pay far above the sale price.
Yeah, how far above?
I suppose that's up to you. She says she has access to deep pockets. What do you say, Stuart? Willing to turn a blind eye to my offenses?
Seriously, Plotfodder? Eye jokes?
I can't seem to help it. I'm not trying to be funny. How much do you want? I'll get it in the blink of an... I'll get it fast. Stuart wrote a number down on a piece of paper and showed it to me. I smiled. I was going to make a lot of money on this case. Maybe I could buy a new car. Or 7. I texted the amount to Lotta. She immediately responded with smiley faces and hearts. I got my Venmo notification of payment received. The money came through. Give me your Venmo. I'll get you paid and be on my way.
Your client is a moron, Plotfodder. You can buy a custom table like this from the Matthews house for a fraction of what they just paid me. That makes you an idiot, too. You could have bought a new table for your client and pocketed the rest of the cash. What a maroon.
You're right, Stu. You're smarter than me. Good job.
Wait, where are you going? Don't you want the table?
I don't. The current owner does. I thought this address was familiar. Lucky it's already in her house.
What? What are you talking about? No, it's in here.
Yup. Give my regards to Lotta when you see her.
What? Lotta is your client? What are you trying to pull here, Plotfodder?
Just doing my job.
Really? You really are an idiot. You know that? Lotta used my own money to pay me. All you did was waste my time and make yourself look stupid.
True, Stu. Very true. It would have been a waste of my time if I worked for free. Lotta was quite generous.
What did you charge? Like $20? I'd pay $100 just to help you feel like more of a moron.
I just asked her to match the price you asked for the table that you already bought.
Wait, but I asked for $100,000.
Stu, I can call you Stu, right? Lotta was generous, Stu. She added a tip to my fee. So I actually made $120,000 on this case.
What? No!
Not bad for an imbecile Boy Scout in a cheap suit. You're a rat.
It's a good day for a good day. And on the friendly streets of Tecumseh, one man relentlessly ekes out a decent living as a terrible detective, occasionally making a ludicrous amount of money for absolutely zero work. Preston Plotfodder, Private Eye. And so our time has come to an end. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. Let me know in the comments below what was your favorite part. And make sure that you come back tomorrow for our episode with Amy Sloop, director of the TCA, and also the answer to the two truths and a lie conundrum that we set before you today. Is conundrum the right word? That might not be the right word, but you get the idea, right? Yes. Okay. Come back tomorrow.